Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders' recent decision to shut down quarterback Jayden Daniels for the remainder of the season marks the official start of what could be the most pivotal offseason of General Manager Adam Peters' tenure, with 3 games still left on the schedule. The team now enters a period of reflection, evaluation, and for Peters, high-stakes urgency. Daniels' absence doesn't just leave a hole at the quarterback position for the final weeks of the campaign. It also casts a glaring spotlight on the roster's deficiencies and the need for decisive action from the front office as Daniels continues to practice and focus on returning fully healthy. The responsibility falls squarely on Peters to ensure that, when the quarterback does step back onto the field, he has the support, talent, and infrastructure necessary to compete at a championship level. This is not a minor task. It is the type of challenge that will define Peters' legacy with the Commanders. And the clock is officially ticking. Looking back on the past offseason, Peters likely reflects on several decisions with a degree of regret. Free agency came and went with questions left unanswered and roster holes left unaddressed. Certain positions were neglected, while others were filled with players who ultimately proved unreliable or inconsistent, leaving the team with a roster that is far from complete. Bringing back shaky veterans rather than aggressively pursuing upgrades has compounded the problem, and now the consequences are fully visible in the team's struggles on both sides of the ball. With Daniels sidelined, Peters' offseason strategy cannot rely on half measures. Every move must be intentional. Every draft pick deliberate, and every free agent signing a step toward long-term stability. The stakes could not be higher, and the margin for error has never been smaller. The Commanders face a daunting amount of work as they look toward the offseason, and the situation is further complicated by the fact that the roster is not just lacking in talent, it is fundamentally unbalanced. There are currently 22 players set to enter free agency, and replacing the depth and production that will be lost is no small task. On both the offensive and defensive sides of the ball, there are starters who may not be ready to contribute at a high level next season due to injuries or age. And the team will need to navigate the offseason with careful attention to both immediate needs and long-term roster construction. While the team does have a decent amount of salary cap space, the front office must also contend with a scarcity of draft capital after trading away a second round and a 4th-round pick in exchange for Laramie Tunsil. This reality places even more pressure on Peters to make the most of every opportunity, whether in free agency or through strategic draft selections, because the Commanders cannot afford to rely on luck or chance if they hope to compete at a higher level next season. One of the most glaring issues that Peters must address is the state of the defense. The unit has consistently struggled this season and is widely regarded as one of the worst in the league. From the coaching staff to the scheme and personnel, there is a complete overhaul required to transform this group into a unit capable of supporting Daniels and keeping the team competitive. Finding the right defensive coordinator is the first step, and it must be someone who can maximize the potential of the current roster while implementing a scheme that leverages their strengths beyond staffing. Peters must then conduct a rigorous evaluation of the personnel, identifying gaps and aggressively pursuing talent through both free agency and the draft. Daniels' development is inextricably tied to the defense's performance. Without a unit capable of generating stops, turnovers, and consistent third-down success, the offense is forced to play under constant pressure, often from behind, which significantly hampers efficiency and limits the quarterback's ability to operate within an optimal game flow. The need for defensive improvement is particularly urgent. Given the way this season has unfolded, Daniels has faced the challenge of starting games with double-digit deficits in 7 of the 14 contests so far, forcing the offense to play catch-up far too often. This scenario is unsustainable for any quarterback, especially one who is still in the early stages of his career. A reliable defense not only eases pressure on Daniels, but also opens opportunities for the offense to dictate tempo, control possession, and execute game plans with precision. Turnovers and stops on critical downs are the currency that allow an offense to thrive, and the absence of these opportunities has underscored the deficiencies in the Commanders' current setup. Peters' ability to assemble a defensive corps capable of generating these moments will directly influence Daniels' performance and the overall trajectory of the franchise. Simply put, a strong defense is not a luxury, it is a necessity for building a team that can contend On the offensive side of the ball, the situation is equally pressing. Daniels needs more weapons and reliable options, as the current setup has proven inadequate for sustaining high-level production. One of Peters' early miscalculations was relying on Noah Brown to remain healthy and serve as a starting wide receiver for the season, a gamble that never had a realistic chance of paying off. Compounding this issue, Terry McLaurin missed significant time in both the offseason and regular season due to injuries, further depleting the team's offensive arsenal. While trading for Deebo Samuel represented a bold attempt to address these challenges, his impact has fallen short of expectations, highlighting the need for additional playmakers who can consistently contribute at a high level. Peters must take a mindset similar to successful teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who combine veteran talent with strategic draft investments, exemplified by their selection of Emeka Egbuka despite already having a loaded wide receiver room. The Commanders must embrace this philosophy, bringing in both proven talent and high-upside prospects to create a multifaceted and dynamic offensive unit. Looking at the draft and free agency, Peters has several options to consider that could reshape the offensive landscape around Daniels. Players like Alec Pierce could provide a significant upgrade in free agency, while prospects such as Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, and Makai Lemon offer potential early-round impact that could address long-term needs at wide receiver. It is not simply about filling roster spots. It is about constructing a system that allows Daniels to excel, both in terms of playmaking and decision-making. A quarterback of Daniels' caliber cannot reach his full potential in an environment that lacks both depth and talent at critical positions. Peters' challenge is to identify the right combination of veterans and rookies who can contribute immediately while also building for sustained success over multiple seasons. This requires precision, vision, and the willingness to make bold moves that may redefine the team's trajectory. As Daniels focuses on his recovery and preparation for the offseason, his development will be closely linked to the structural improvements made around him, enhancing his playing style, improving decision-making, and building chemistry with new offensive weapons are all tasks that must be undertaken in tandem with Peters' roster-building efforts. The relationship between quarterback and general manager has never been more critical, as the success of one is dependent on the foresight, strategy, and execution of the other. Peters' ability to capitalize on this moment will determine whether the Commanders can transition from a team plagued by inconsistency to one capable of sustained competitiveness. Every free agent signing, draft selection, and coaching hire is part of a larger puzzle that will ultimately define the success of the franchise in the seasons to come. In summary, the shutdown of Jayden Daniels for the remainder of the season is more than a simple injury update. It is a turning point for the Washington Commanders. The responsibility now falls on Adam Peters to address the team's glaring deficiencies, revamp a struggling defense, surround Daniels with offensive weapons, and strategically navigate both free agency and the NFL draft. The task is immense and the margin for error is narrow, but this offseason represents a unique opportunity to reshape the franchise's trajectory. If Peters succeeds, Daniels will return to a team capable of competing at the highest level, supported by a defense that generates stops, an offense loaded with talent, and a front office that operates with clarity, vision, and purpose. The clock is ticking, and every decision matters. The next few months will define not just the season, but the future of the Commanders franchise. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. If you have been hanging around the sports corners of the internet, especially those late-night streams where rumors flow like a river and everyone feels like they are part of some secret inner circle, you probably felt the ground shake when this story started circulating. The whispers turned into loud chatter when Donald Trump, in that unmistakable larger-than-life tone, ALLEGEDLY, dropped the bombshell that the future stadium of the Commanders would not just be another arena, but the most expensive and technologically advanced stadium in the history of sports. Now, before anyone starts asking for blueprints or official press releases, let me make it very clear that what we are talking about here lives in that fascinating gray zone between ambition, speculation, and pure spectacle. The kind of story that feels tailor-made for a YouTube breakdown where you lean forward and say, "Listen to this, because this could change everything we know about stadiums," according to the rumor mill. Trump did not present this as a modest renovation or a simple new home for a football franchise. The language being repeated by insiders sounds almost cinematic, Words like monumental, futuristic, and untouchable keep popping up, as if the goal is not just to host games, but to redefine what it means to attend a sporting event. The Commanders, a franchise already surrounded by history, controversy, reinvention, and expectation, would suddenly become the centerpiece of a global conversation. The idea floating around is that this stadium would be so advanced that fans would not just watch the game, they would live inside it, experiencing football as if reality itself had been upgraded to a premium version. What really fuels this rumor is the claim that cost would be no obstacle. People close to the discussion suggest that the price tag would shatter every previous benchmark, dwarfing even the most extravagant arenas built so far. Every number mentioned behind the scenes is described as almost absurd, the kind of investment that makes accountants nervous and dreamers excited. The narrative being pushed is that this would be the most expensive stadium ever constructed, not because of vanity alone, but because of a deliberate attempt to pack every imaginable innovation into one colossal structure. The phrase most modern on the planet is not being used lightly here, at least according to those who claim to have heard Trump speak about it with absolute confidence. The technological side of this speculation is where things really start to sound like science fiction. There is talk of immersive screens wrapping around the stadium in ways never attempted before, creating visuals so sharp and dynamic that the boundary between the field and the digital world practically disappears. Some even whisper about real-time augmented reality layers, visible through personal devices or specialized glasses, allowing fans to see stats, replays, and tactical insights hovering over the action. The stadium, as described in these rumors, would not sleep. It would be alive before the game, during the game, and long after the final whistle, turning every visit into an event that goes far beyond sports. Another aspect that keeps coming up in these conversations is comfort and exclusivity taken to an extreme level. Luxury suites would allegedly feel more like high-end apartments than simple viewing boxes, with personalized environments, climate control tuned to individual preference, and services that anticipate your needs before you even realize them. At the same time, the rumor insists that even the standard seats would feel premium, designed to give every fan a sense that they are part of something elite. The idea is that no one would feel far from the action, emotionally or physically, because the entire structure would be engineered around immersion and intimacy. Despite its massive scale, financially, the speculation becomes even more intriguing. There is chatter about unprecedented partnerships, private investments, and branding deals that would transform the stadium into a year-round revenue machine. This would not be a place that only comes alive on game days, according to the buzz. It would host concerts, cultural events, conventions, and experiences that blur the line between sports venue and entertainment city. Trump, as the story goes, would see this not just as a stadium but as a symbol, a landmark meant to dominate skylines and headlines alike, reinforcing the idea that bigger and bolder is always better. Of course, no rumor of this magnitude exists without controversy. Some voices within the fan community are already questioning whether such extravagance is necessary, or whether it risks alienating traditional supporters who care more about the team on the field than the building around it. Others wonder how such a massive investment would impact ticket prices, access, and the overall culture of attending games. Yet even these concerns seem to feed the narrative rather than slow it down, because debate is exactly what keeps a story like this alive and spreading across timelines and comment sections. The political undertones of Trump being associated with this announcement add another layer of complexity. Love him or hate him, there is no denying that his involvement guarantees attention. The rumor suggests that he frames the project as a statement of national pride and innovation, a way to show that American sports infrastructure can lead the world. Whether this is genuine vision or strategic showmanship is up for debate, but the result is the same. Everyone is talking about the Commanders Stadium in a way that feels unprecedented, even before a single brick is officially laid. As this speculation continues to grow, fans are left imagining what it would be like to walk into a stadium that claims to be the most modern on earth. Picture the anticipation, the lights, the sound, the feeling that you are stepping into the future, rather than just another sports venue. That sense of wonder is what makes this rumor so powerful. Even if reality ends up falling short of the most extravagant claims, the mere possibility has already achieved something remarkable. It has turned a stadium project into a story, a dream, and a debate all at once. And in the world of sports media and YouTube storytelling, that is pure gold. So for now, we wait, we speculate, and we keep listening to every new whisper that comes out. Because if even half of what is being rumored turns out to be true, we might be looking at a turning point in how sports, entertainment, and spectacle intersect. And if it is all just talk, well, it is still one of the most fascinating pieces of sports gossip we have seen in a long time. The kind that keeps fans clicking, commenting, and imagining what the future could look like under the bright lights of a stadium that promises to be unlike anything the world has ever seen. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.